Hello everyone, I welcome you all in this mains discussion series, and today I will be discussing the questions from the topic of governance from UPSC GS paper 2. Now this year there were 5 direct questions from the topic of governance and 2 questions which were overlapping from polity and society. The questions were easy only, but 2 of the questions required higher level of understanding and different dimensions. So let's start with the question. So first question from the topic of governance this year was, the Gati Shakti Yojana needs meticulous coordination between the government and the private sector to achieve the goal of connectivity. Discuss. Now this question you have to answer in 150 words only. See, always stick to the word limit. So here in this question, first of all, it talks about Gati Shakti Yojana. So here when you give the intro, so the intro will contain what this Gati Shakti Yojana is all about. Then second thing, it is talking about the coordination between the government and the private sector. So coordination between government and the private sector, it means the body. Here it will talk about the benefits of, we can say, public private partnership, PPP model. So here we can talk about the benefits of PPP and then how it will help in achieving the goal of this Gati Shakti Yojana. And then finally conclusion. In conclusion we can talk about the way forward. In the end conclusion, here we will discuss the problems of the PPP model, how it can be sorted out and what is the way forward. So this will be the structure of your answer. So all of you, first thing, what is this Gati Shakti Yojana all about? So we know that this Gati Shakti Yojana, it was launched last year October by the government. And what was the purpose? See, here the main purpose was to make the logistic cheaper and faster, and the ultimate target was the seamless connectivity which will help our business industries. So here you can just define, launch the Gati Shakti Yojana or the National Master Plan, okay, last year. Now all of you, why it was called the National Master Plan? Because it was the umbrella platform, because here this was required for the real time analysis and result, so that there is no kind of lag or administrative delay in any kind of functioning. And you know, other reason behind this Gati Shakti Yojana is that in our country the cost of logistics runs in the double digits. So somewhere you can find out it hovers around 13% of the GDP, somewhere you can find out 14% of the GDP, and in developed countries this cost runs around 8%. Therefore, it is necessary to bring down this cost for the economic growth. So this is for understanding. Here in exam, just you need to write vision to improve connectivity and make Indian business more competitive. So this will be your intro. Now, what is the benefit of your public private partnership? See, coordination between government and the private sector, it leads to easy execution and avoid any kind of delays. When there will be proper coordination between public private enterprises, then definitely there will be no administrative logjam, there will be no delay. Definitely it will lead to better infrastructure, which in turn definitely will lower the logistic cost, and once the logistic cost is lowered, remember that higher accessibility and better connectivity is more important for small private players, because this will make sure that they have a kind of platform, they have a kind of opportunity to sell their products worldwide, and definitely it will reduce the cost of the bigger players, and this will be the cycle. So this is the benefit of your public private partnership. And next, all of you, here what we can do, we can talk about the problem. See, the thing is, government alone at present is not sufficient in solving all the problems, in handling each and everything. Therefore, definitely it needs the help of the private players. Why? Because resource constraint, financial as well as human resource. And whenever you have any example, okay, please quote the examples. Provide engineers, workers, etc. That is the human resource, and the best example is your Jamshedpur. Now all of you, Jamshedpur is the best example of your public private partnership, where the Tata Group in partnership with the government has clearly shown how public private partnership on infrastructure can bring connectivity as well as growth in the even in the backward regions. So it will not only lead to better connectivity. See, the ultimate goal is what? Growth and development. So definitely the seamless connectivity will lead to growth and development at a faster pace. Now, what are the other benefits? Nowadays, this is the word of technology, and now in present word, see, hardware as well as software technologies. The thing is, the government will have access to the hardware and software technologies from the private sector and vice versa. And again, here you can quote the example of Indore, where we all know Indore, it is one of the cleanest city of our country. And what is the reason behind it? The reason is that a private company has entered into a partnership and has invested 30 crores of rupees for setting up a plant to process 300 tons of dry waste through artificial intelligence. See, this is the benefit of your public private partnership. See, the thing is, whenever you have to justify your answer, then you will have to give the examples. What are the benefits of public private partnership? So this is one of the benefit. Then visionary infrastructure. Here again, all of you, you can talk about the Bengaluru based e-bike ride facility service, which is provided at the Delhi metro stations for the last mile connectivity. So visionary infrastructure. One of the major problem for any government, whether central or state or local administration, is the maintenance. Now this is one such area which can be, transferred to the private sector, and once it is outsourced to the private sector, definitely the government can focus on the more important works. See, in order to cater to the needs of 1.4 billion people, the government needs to invest its energy and resources in those areas where it can yield better results. So these smaller operations, these smaller things can be definitely outsourced. Then it will increase efficiency in project delivery, operation and management. So this was your body part, where we talked about the benefits. Now all of you tell me one thing. If it would have been kind of, so engaging, so fruitful, the results would have been so fruitful, everything so smooth, then definitely government would have entered with partnership the private sectors in each and every sector. But no, there are problems from both the end, okay, from public sector as well as the private sector. What are the problems? The challenges like cost overrun, red tapeism, and delays in the payment. Now these are the things which hamper, and it kinds of reduces the confidence of the private players to enter into the partnership with the government. So definitely the government must overcome these problems, which acts as a deterrence in the partnership of the public and private sector. And then all of you can end your answer with a policy overhaul and institutional reform like single window clearance, timely payment, etc., and streamlining the existing processes. And here you can give the example of BOT and HAM. What is your BOT? Build, operate and transfer, where the private players, they build, they operate and then they transfer. So it reduces the headache of the government. Then HAM, this is hybrid annuity model. You know what is the purpose of HAM? This HAM helps in reducing the viable cost. Now any person or any enterprise always works for profit, and if any private player enters into any kind of agreement or it takes any deal, and suppose the cost of that complete process, that operation is rupees 100 crore. So this private player has to invest rupees 100 crore. But after investing rupees 100 crore, if the private player can make only 30 crore or 40 crore of rupees only, then if it can make only rupees 30 crore or 40 crore, then why it will suffer the loss of 60 crore and 70 crore rupees, 60 crore to 70 crore? Definitely it will not want to suffer any kind of loss. So here the government intervenes. It provides subsidy or another kind of benefits, or just gives the fund such that this viability gap is reduced or eliminated. So all of you here, in the end we can talk about the national logistic policy, that it is another positive step in this direction. This question you have to answer only in 150 words. And such type of questions are open to interpretations. This was one of the interpretation where I talked about the benefit of public-private partnership. There can be another interpretation where you can just focus on the logistic operation, the cost and how it will benefit the private player as well as the government. So the best part of this, governance questions is that these questions you understand the language, but yes, you need to interpret it, because in 150 words you cannot have all the interpretations. So any one interpretation, you just focus on that, try to justify. The thing is, here you have to justify your interpretation, your understanding. So I hope this question must be clear to you all. So the next question in the line of discussion is your question number 7. It says, the Right of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 remains only a legal document without intense sensitization of government functionaries and citizens regarding disability. Comment. Now, this was one question which overlaps with your Indian society as well. Now, remember one thing, whenever you get such question, okay, Rights of Disabilities Act and all, then first of all, you need to define disabilities, and then if you have any data to quote, it will add value to your answer. Then second, you talk about this Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, what it provides. Then, so intro, all of you, intro here in this question, define disability, and any data if you have, quote data. Then body. So here first you will divide it into two parts. First, what does this right provides? And then second, what does this lack? And then finally, the conclusion, you talk about the way forward, what must be done in order to get rid of the problem. Okay. So here again, this question you need to answer in 150 words only. So you have to stick to the word limit. So first of all, we define disability. Now according to OHCHR, see actually this OHCHR is your Office of United Nations High Commission on Human Rights. It says persons with disabilities include those who have, remember, long term, this is important, long term physical, mental, intellectual or sensory impairments which in interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. So this is how disability is defined, that this is your long-term physical, mental, intellectual or sensory impairment which is acting as a kind of hindrance in their full and effective participation in the society. Okay. So this is the definition of the disability, and then all of you here you can quote the data that according to 2011 census 2.21% of the total population is disabled in India. And now all of you please keep in mind, in a country of 1.4 billion people, this 2.21% is a significant number, and therefore the government as well as the society must pay equal focus on them. Now second, what does this right provide? Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2006. What does this provides? First, it gives recognition, that is statutory rights to the disabled population. So first of all, it gives the recognition, because recognition is very important. statutory recognition. Second, it proactively promotes reservation benefits. So it proactively promotes reservation benefits. They definitely needed to uplift them, to boost their confidence. Providing reservation benefits is very important. Then next, provides a right to free education to the age group from 6 to 18 years. So 6 to 18 years, they are provided right to free education. Next, stress has been given to ensure accessibility in public buildings. Accessibility in public buildings. Now, many of you would have seen that nowadays these transport buses, like for example when we talk about low floor DTC buses and all. So these low floor DTC buses, okay, so the government is preferring these low floor DTC buses or the transport buses, keeping in mind the person with disabilities, that it would be more convenient and easier for them to kind of just enter in the bus or get down from the bus. Similarly, you can find out at different railway stations, metro stations, you can find yellow strip. So those strips, they are meant for people with disabilities, just to help them, to guide them. Then next, streamlined compensation and grievance redressal mechanism. See, in the process of governance, grievance redressal is one of the very important parameter, and this right, it ensures it that the grievances of the person with disabilities, PWDs, people with disabilities, their grievances are redressed properly. Now this is the important part. This is the important part. See, we have seen what this right has provided, but still long way to go. Why? De-stigmatization, sensitization of people, the government machineries is very important, because until or unless the people as well as the government, okay, the society as a whole, okay, it becomes sensitive to the needs as well as demands of the people with disabilities, till then you cannot ensure them independent, dignified lives. See, all of you, please keep in mind that right to life means right to dignified life. This does not mean only living for the survival. So for the dignified life, it is very necessary, it is extremely necessary that people, they are sensitized, and in this is social inclusion. When we talk about governance, we talk about participation. Any governance is a healthy governance, good governance only when more and more people participate. So now, when we talk about participation, remember, we not only talk about participation of men and women and people from all sections of the societies, we also mean people with disabilities. They must also participate in the processes. They must be part of the system. They must not feel excluded. They must not feel excluded. Therefore, nowadays we also call them specially abled. Instead of, though this act is right with Disabilities Act, but nowadays we call these people specially abled ones. Yes. And here the examples like that persistent prejudices against the people, that yes, they are your kind of bad omens and all, this must be kind of, completely eradicated from the society. Such kind of thoughts and imaginations, it must be eradicated, completely wiped out. There is no place for such narrow and mean thoughts in our society at present. Here the next thing can be inclusion of the children with disabilities in regular school. See, when I am saying they have to be part of the system, they must not feel kind of aloof or separate. Okay. So here social inclusion, when we talk about the social inclusion, means the children, yes, they must participate with the other children, they must study with them, they must play with them. Until or unless there is interaction at primary age, definitely all of a sudden at when one becomes adult, you cannot make sure that he will have kind of empathy, or he will be kind of interacting with those people. These qualities must be inculcated, must be developed at the early stage. Therefore school plays very important role, where once the children starts interacting with them, they feel that yes, they are the same, they are not different. Then next is empowerment. Needs comprehensive policies which can create opportunities and avenues for growth. See, what is the present problem with this society or the government? The present problem here is that they kind of empathize with them and they think that yes, they must provide them some kind of benefits. No, you give them the opportunity, let them grow, let them develop, empower them. Instead of making them just the beneficiary, empower them. That is the real meaning of development. Then similarly, negative attitudes held by the families of the disabled must be given up. And here you can talk about the mental illness or mental retardation. That this is one section which is worst stigmatized, and then the other ones you can talk about the facilitating ease of living, bureaucratic apathy, public officials, they lack compassion, okay, related to PWDs, which increases the mental agony of the people with disabilities. So you need to just give few points, and then here policy planning framework that incorporates compassion and emotional intelligence along with best practices. So in best practices, you can the example of the state of Kerala, where the state government machinery is too active in involving and making the people with disabilities or the specially abled people participate in the process. So you can give the example of Kerala, required to live life with dignity. Now here, see, the Ministry of Social Justice and Environment has invited public feedback on the new draft of national policy. Okay. So this is the kind of way forward. This ministry has invited public feedback, and then all of you, a Jan Andolan is must to secure the constitutional principle of justice for all. So when you end your answer with such a statement, then it gives a positive impact on your answer. So this was one question where, since it talks about the public policy and all, so it is a part of governance, and since it is talking about right of person with disabilities, this is also part of a social justice society. So now we come to the next question, question number 8, which says, reforming the government delivery system through the direct benefit transfer scheme is a progressive step, but it has limitations too. Comment. Now this was one of the easiest question of this paper, because direct benefit transfer, this is one thing which each and every student whoever appears for the mains knows about it, because the problems with your direct benefit transfer, M-governance, E-governance is quite common, overlapping, okay, because this DBT is part of your E-governance, this is the part of your digital delivery, this is the part of your digital India now. So the problems here are common. So again, now here all of you, we had similar kind of questions, okay, in our mains test series also, where we talk about the strengthening the state's institutional capability and institute to public officials to perform better quality of public service delivery. Here also we focused on the public service delivery, and then there was one more question added to it. And this was the another question which was quite similar to that of your DBT question, digital initiatives, because it is talking about the role of digital initiatives, addressing the challenges and suggest ways to further the digital reach to the last mile. So this question was part of your part of our mains test series. So now here in this case, again all of you, any question, as I said, you have to break it in 3 parts. So here first of all, when we talk about the intro, so the intro will talk about what this DBT is all about. What do we mean by DBT, direct benefit transfer? Okay. So you need to define it in 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines maximum. Then second, body part. Now here body part, when you have to break it in 2 parts. First of all, when, because in the question it is talking about that this DBT is progressive in nature. So you need to explain, yes, why it is progressive, what are the benefits of it. So first, why DBT is progressive, that is, we talk about the benefits, and then the second part, that the challenges associated with it. Yes, it is progressive, the reason behind it, and then the challenges associated with it, and finally the conclusion, that is way forward, how to overcome the challenges. So this will be the structure of your answer. Now, with the aim of reforming government delivery system by re-engineering the existing process. So all of you, this direct benefit transfer DBT scheme was started on 1st of January 2013. Now what is the process of DBT? Now DBT aims to transfer subsidy benefits from various Indian welfare schemes directly into the target beneficiaries' bank accounts. Here you can talk about Aadhaar seeded bank accounts. So now here in this case, now the benefits, the subsidies, they are directly transferred to the beneficiaries' bank accounts. So now here all of you, if this is the source, this is the beneficiary. Now there are no channels here, okay, no administrative kind of machineries which acts as a kind of logjam. Directly this is the source, this is the beneficiary. Now the benefits are directly transferred the subsidies through banking channel. See, definitely you need a channel for the distribution. So this banking channel, this just acts as a medium of transfer of benefits. So directly the cash benefits, the subsidies transferred into the bank account of the beneficiaries. So all of you, what is happening here? In this case, now it is bypassing the human interface, which was one of the major problem or the reason behind the corruption, that is the human interface. So it bypasses the human interface, and therefore all of you, what it does, it reduces the delays as well as it plugs the leakages, and the delays and the leakages owing to the multi-hierarchy of the administrative machinery. So earlier from source to one, other, third, fourth, fifth. So now it is bypassing them directly. So therefore all of you, this is a progressive step. This is a progressive step. And DBT, what is this process all about? Aadhaar enrollment of the beneficiaries for generation of Aadhaar numbers, because as I said, benefits are transferred in the Aadhaar seeded bank accounts. Okay, and then bringing the details of beneficiaries on IT platform, digitizing beneficiaries database. So this step, it helps in plugging the leakages, and then opening of the bank accounts, bringing the unbanked population in the banking purview through opening of the bank accounts, seeding Aadhaar in database bank accounts, beneficiaries bank accounts and database seeded with Aadhaar connected, and then finally the last mile connectivity, delivering the benefits to the last mile through banking channel networks. So this is the process of DBT. Now, as I said, that we need to first justify that why DBT is a progressive step. So DBT is a progressive step because first thing, it puts citizens at the center and this circumvent bureaucratic system, which I talked about, bypassing the human interface. So it puts citizens at the center, provides simple and faster. So simpler and faster flow of information and enabling transparency. So enabling transparency, one of the pillars of your good governance. And then streamlines allocation of funds and thus reduces delay in payments. So it streamlines allocation of funds who are the beneficiaries. So directly ensure accurate targeting of the beneficiaries. So beneficiaries are targeted and then directly the amount is transferred to their bank accounts. And here you can talk about the PAHL, the LPG subsidy scheme. This is one of the world's largest DBT initiative, and thus it prevents deduplication and the certainly reduction of fraud. Therefore this DBT is progressive. DBT is progressive step. Now the second part here. What are the limitations or the challenges? See, India is a developing country. Okay. Now here in a developing country, where more than 20% of the people, they are extremely poor. So in this case, all of you, what are the real challenges? The real challenges being lack of adequate banking facilities. It includes people from accessing the facilities. See, the thing is, this benefit is meant for the people, and until or unless people they are kind of able to access it, no point of it, no benefit. If people are unable to access the benefits, then whatever benefits you are providing, it will be just useless for them. Second, here another major hindrance is your digital literacy. So here all of you, digital illiteracy. Now here when we talk about digital literacy or digital illiteracy, okay, that those people who are kind of digitally illiterate, it means they are unable to access the smartphones, the mobile phones, the benefits provided by the government digitally. So until or unless they have the access, they can use the benefits on their own, definitely they will not be part of the system. They will be not a part of the system. And digital illiteracy, it creates a kind of gap, because here there is a gap, rural urban gap. Rural areas people are more digitally illiterate, so therefore rural areas people they have lesser access to the facilities, to the benefits. See, those people who require more, they are having less access to the benefits. Men and women they have lesser access to mobile phones, they have lesser access to the benefits, digital benefits, in comparison to their male counterparts. So this digital illiteracy is one of the major problem. Another problem, since the DBT, as I said, is linked with Aadhaar for the schemes, therefore non-availability of Aadhaar can lead to exclusion error. In our country still not the 100% of the people, that is the complete adult population, they do not have this Aadhaar card. So those of them who do not have the Aadhaar card, definitely they cannot avail the benefits provided by through the different schemes. Next, challenges like connectivity and technical issues faced by the banking correspondent. See, as I said, that the benefits are transferred through banking channel. So there must be proper infrastructure, proper connectivity. Until or unless the people have their bank accounts, the bank employees, they are connected to people, there is proper infrastructure, definitely it will remain one of the major challenge. This is interesting. Unable to capture the structural changes brought by the inflation. Now the benefits, DBT, these benefits are provided, and when these benefits are provided, these benefits they remain kind of same for the maximum time period. Okay. Now the benefits they are same, you are getting the same amount of money, but because of the inflation, the cost is rising. Now when the cost will rise, then definitely those benefits will not help you to that extent to which they are meant to be. So this is another challenge, and see how you can use sometimes whenever, if you have gone through the entire question paper, here this question we will also discuss the question of inflation and unemployment. So you can use the question, that is the statement of the question, yes, this can be one of the problem. This. Then other major problem is the cyber security. Cyber security, right to privacy, and because of the problems, you all know the area of Jamtara, Jharkhand, okay, which is known for your cyber crimes, phishing, malwaring and all. Because of these cyber crimes, people they still do not have the trust in this digitization of the processes. They are not feeling secure. So until or unless people see the trust deficit, if the people they have the trust deficit, then definitely they will kind of not link their bank accounts through the Aadhaar. They will be not connecting it to the mobile phones and all. So this will act as a kind of hindrance. Definitely it will act as a major hindrance. You need to gain the trust of the people. So this cyber security, privacy and banking frauds, okay, this is one of the major challenge which must be addressed as early as possible. Now we come to the conclusion part of your answer. JAM, that is Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity. Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, okay, Trinity are the DBT enablers, okay, and therefore it provides a unique opportunity to implement DBT in all the welfare schemes across the country. DBT is a game changer in bringing efficiency, effectiveness, transparency and accountability in the government system and infuse confidence of citizens in the governance. So it has the power, okay, it has this power, and now use of modern technology and IT tools and overcoming of challenges will realize the dream of minimum government and maximum government. So DBT is one of the best example of your minimum government and maximum governance. But yes, when we talk about the maximum governance, therefore definitely we talk about the problem-free governance. So overcoming the challenges, very, very important. So this way you can conclude your answer. You can conclude your answer. And as part of our mains advanced course, okay, this thing was already provided to the students. The digital service delivery, the government initiates the challenges. So the students who would have gone through these PDFs, that is mains advanced course governance PDF, okay, then definitely they would have answered the question easily. Now we come to the next question, that is 250 words question. So now all of you, question number 16, it says, besides the welfare schemes, India needs deft management of inflation and unemployment to serve the poor and the underprivileged sections of the society. You know, this unemployment thing been in news so much on the last 4-5 months that definitely thought that this will be part of the GS paper 2 this time, because this time this unemployment was talked in terms of governance, and therefore we had the question also in our mains test series, critically examine the recent public policy initiatives aimed at addressing the problem of unemployment in India. So now whenever you get any such question, all of you, here it is talking about inflation, it is talking about unemployment. So here again this question will also have 3 parts. Now whenever you get such question, where if you have the data to substantiate your answer, then in intro you can start with the data. Since it is talking about the kind of, you know, yes, of unemployment, then inflation, it is talking about how it is hindering the progress of your poor people. So it is hindering the progress of the poor people. Then here in this case we can start with the data, that as per the OPHI, Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiatives, and UNDP, about 22.5% of the Indians are extremely poor. So 2.5% of the Indians are extremely poor. So out of 1.4 billion people, more than 22.5%. So about 22.5% means it stands around 30 crores. So around 30 crores of people, they are extremely poor. Then second, you can talk about the unemployment rate. So India's unemployment rate surged to a 1-year high of 8.3% in August this year. So India's unemployment rate surged to a 1-year high of 8.3% in August this year. So again the next quote. So here this data you can quote 8.3% unemployment rate, and here all of you can add one more thing, that India's retail inflation crossed 7% in August this year. These data, they shows the kind of importance of the question and the situation it is talking about. We can see 30 crores of people, they are extremely poor. Unemployment rate hovering to 8.3%. Then your retail inflation crossing 7%. In fact, the inflation on vegetables and spices, etc., they crossed 10%. So people, they are already poor. We have just seen you are providing benefits in DBT. Okay, we know that yes, you are providing benefits, but if you are providing benefits and the inflation is so higher, then how those benefits will actually benefit the beneficiaries? Then retail inflation, unemployment. So you can start with this. Then here in body, okay, first of all, you can talk about the benefits of welfare schemes to the poor people. You can talk about the benefits of welfare schemes to poor people. Second, how this unemployment and inflation, they are a kind of menace to the society. And third, the problems arising out of them, other problems arising out of them. And then again here in the conclusion, the way forward, that is what must be the initiatives of the government in order to tackle the problems of unemployment and inflation. So first part, all of you, welfare schemes serves the poor and the underprivileged in the following ways. Since it is talking about the poor people and it is mentioning the welfare schemes, then definitely welfare schemes, it provides basic needs like food and housing, reduces the expenditure on health and education as seen through right to education and PM Jan Arogya Yojana. Then enables social mobility, protection against the social and economic discrimination. So welfare schemes, definitely they act as a kind of protection against the social and economic discrimination, and it gives financial independence to women and others. Thus it counters the inequality. Whenever you have any confusion, okay, you can just go through the question again. Besides the welfare schemes, remember it is talking about besides the welfare scheme, India needs debt management. So it is clearly saying besides the welfare schemes, India needs deft management of inflation and unemployment. So first, yes, you should talk about the benefits of welfare schemes, and then how those benefits, as I said, they are not benefiting the people actually to that extent which it is intended to, because of your unemployment and inflation. Inflation and unemployment. Inflation and unemployment, what does it leads to? It leads to poor income. Definitely when the income will be poor, then it will lead to erosion of purchasing power. People won't have money, how they will be purchasing? And when they won't be purchasing, it will lead to shrink in the consumption. Shrink in the consumption expenditure, and then shrinking in the consumption expenditure will lead to poor living standards, and poor living standards will increase in social stigmatization, domestic violence, poor health and nutrition. And it will further kind of strengthen the demographic dividend, and therefore the growth suffers, and finally it leads to poor economic performance. So how this unemployment and inflation is a kind of menace to the society, through this chart you can clear it. Now the need for deft management. Why India needs? Here, India needs deft management, that is skilled, clever, smart management of inflation and unemployment. Why? As I said, counter the impact of purchasing power of the poor, which reduces with rising inflation. High inflation and unemployment directly leads to shrinking of consumption expenditure. Now here, to avoid debt traps, because in order to increase their purchasing power or to make their both ends meet, the poor people, they fall under this debt trap and they take loans to maintain the minimum standard of living. Now this statement, all of you, this is important, that malnutrition grows with high poverty and its effect is hardest to reverse in children. So now the effect of malnutrition is hardest to reverse in children. So all of you see, the thing is, there are few problems which you think that with time, okay, you will get rid of those problems. But here, malnutrition, these kind of things, they cannot be reversed. So if they cannot be reversed, then definitely this is a kind of deterrence in the growth of the children, in the growth of the society. Then good employment provides sustainable income and enables inclusive growth. While, see, this is the benefit of good employment, that it provides sustainable income and enables inclusive growth. Quality employment ensures social security, while unemployment now derails it. So the benefits of good employment, quality employment, social security, financial inclusion and all, and then while employment completely derails it. And then enable capability development and promote investment on the education and health of the children. Now government is launching so many different schemes which are focused on the education and health of the children, but until or unless this unemployment and inflation, these problems they are countered, okay, those schemes they will not have that positive effect. Will not have that positive effect, because their positive effects, they are countered by unemployment and inflation. So here, to make those schemes also effective, you need to control inflation and reduction in unemployment. Now here, all of you, there is a study by United Nations Women that there is a direct relationship between unemployment and domestic violence. So there is a direct relation between unemployment and domestic violence. So unemployment, all of you, unemployment, it leads to domestic violence, or here you can say rather domestic violence is directly proportional to unemployment. Domestic violence is directly proportional to unemployment as well as the crime. Okay, the increase in crime rate, the rise in crime rate, one of the major reason behind it is the unemployment. So here leads to overall increase in the crime rate. To counter the cyclical poverty challenges, because they remain in debt trap and also the poverty cycle, they cannot get out of that poverty cycle. And we talk about the demographic dividend. Okay, we talk about the man force, we talk about the manpower, that we have the world's largest man force. But the thing is that man force, until or unless it is constructively utilized, it will act as a kind of what? It can act as a kind of disaster. It can act against the development of the country. See, increase in crime rate, different kind of protests and all, your burning of public properties, these kind of things, they definitely act against the nation's growth and development. Now, and the way forward. So here, way forward, you talk about proactive government intervention like universal basic income is needed. So universal basic income, it is the need of the hour, cannot be delayed further. Then information repository and dissemination system is required to check food and fuel inflation. Food and fuel inflation, that is the reason for the increase in the prices, and that is the major reason for the other problem. So information repository and dissemination system is required to check food and fuel inflation. At least this must be checked and controlled. Definitely then other things will fall in line. Then policies to increase employment in rural areas and urban employment policies is required. So there must be a separate rural, policy, unemployment policy, urban unemployment policy. There are so many vacancies in the public sector. Those vacancies must be filled on the priority basis. The youth is mobilized, okay, whenever there is a kind of any vacancy or opening for any government job, then the youth is mobilized constructively, positively. Otherwise the same youth, okay, will be misguided and it will act as a kind of misguided missile. Then focus on the network products and incorporation of assemble in India in Make in India is required. So not only Make in India, assemble in India is required to create quality jobs, because you need to increase jobs, public sector as well as private sector. And then reduction in income inequality, because in India there is a huge gap in terms of income, okay, at different level, that must be reduced. and then the concentration of wealth among few at the top. So top 1% of the population they are enjoying, and the bottom 30% they are suffering. Then next, strengthening of public distribution of essential commodities among the poor. So it is talking about the welfare schemes also, started with the question. So other public distribution mechanism, it must be strengthened. And then increase in the average daily wage rate in rural India and providing job security. See, according to the inflation, the wage rate must be also increased. Otherwise, if inflation is rising and the wage remains same, definitely there will be a problem, there will be a gap. So increase in wage rate as well as job security. People must feel secure about the job. Then only they will be positively inclined towards participating in it. And then finally, India is a nation beaming with demographic dividend and a strategic window to rise on the global fora. Policy measures which will significantly minimize the cost of living and reduce the impact of inflation on the poor and create quality job is required. And here you can further write down to achieve the goal of what? Antyodaya se Sarvodaya. Antyodaya se Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya, development of all. Antyodaya, last man's development. So last person's development will ensure that yes, all are developed. So unemployment is checked, inflation is checked, definitely along with welfare schemes, it will help in reaching the goal. So this way you can conclude your answer. This way you can conclude answer. So here this was the answer of the mains test series question. Critically examine the recent public policy initiatives aimed at addressing problem of unemployment. High rate of employment, failed to tackle job loss, regional divide and all. So all of you, our next question. Now this is an interesting question. Given here, do you agree with the view that the increasing dependence on donor agencies for development reduces the importance of community participation in the development process? Justify your answer. So now all of you here, this question, it is talking about the increasing dependence on the donor agencies for development reduces the importance of community participation. Now why I said this question is interesting, because if you compare this question with question number 5th, okay, which was about decentralization of power, how it is helping in the process of governance, which will be discussed in the polity, and it is related to your area of governance as well as, so overlapping with polity and governance. So in that question you have to talk about the benefit of decentralization. And now here this question, it talks about the dependence on donor agencies. It means you are depending on the donor agencies and it is reducing community participation. So in the whole process of governance, if we talk about the public sector, then we have seen that decentralization of power has definitely helped in the development process, because it has seen a gradual shift from top down to bottom up approach. top down to bottom up approach. Now that is the kind of benefit of your decentralization. Now the thing is, if that is the benefit with the public sector with decentralization, then here in terms of your civil society organization, in terms of your donor agencies and all, if the approach would be same as that of your earlier government structure, then it will not serve any purpose which it is intended to, because mainly it is meant for the welfare of people. So here this was just for the understanding that how UPSC kind of connects questions. They give the questions which are interlinked in the concept, in terms of concept. So view that increasing dependence on the donor agencies for the development reduces the importance of community participation. Justify your answer. So now all of you here in this question, again 3 parts. The intro. So all of you, in intro you define what do we mean by donor agencies. So donor agencies are those institutions which kind of provide financial and technical assistance, in the policy formulation as well as execution or implementation. Then all of you, it provides financial and technical assistance regarding the policy planning and execution to fulfill the agenda of inclusive growth. So this is the meaning of your donor agencies. Then why there is need for donor agencies? So all of you, why there is need for donor agencies in the development process? So here you can talk about supporting the country in policy making processes through funds and resources. So here this question revolves around funds. So World Bank, Amnesty International, there are different civil society organizations as well as World Bank, WHO, they provides fund. So these are the donor agencies. So now they provide fund, so it helps, supports the country in policy making processes through funds as well as resources. Second, alignment of the national development process with the global goals like sustainable development goals. Nowadays many international agencies, they are funding different kind of projects which are environment friendly. Why? To maintain the sustainable development goals. Then provide technical and technological expertise, maintain continuity and vigilance in the project and protect them from political biases and partisanship. So this is the purpose, this is the need for donor agencies in the development process. Then promotes transparency in the development process, enable a stakeholder approach. So they are the participant, they are the donor, so definitely they will have a say. So this is the need of your donor agencies. So first we define donor agencies, what is the need for donor agencies in the development process, what they do actually. Now we come to the question second part, here the main body, because it talks about reducing the community participation. See, remember, when we talk about the whole process of governance or any development process, the results will be stupendous only when people at the ground, they participate in the process. Here it reduces the importance of community participation in the development process in the following ways. Or First, corporatization of the development process creates administrative and bureaucratic hierarchy. Now the public sector is giving up, okay, this administrative and bureaucratic hierarchy. We have seen the benefits of DBT. We are getting rid of the multi-level hierarchy system. But here corporatization, it is creating same kind of structure. The problem which was existing in the public sector earlier, now it is existing here. So definitely it is creating administrative and bureaucratic hierarchy and make it out of the reach of the community. Because as soon as there is kind of different level, different chain, then it reduces the interest of the people. Second, donor sponsored development process becomes process oriented rather than outcome oriented. So whenever there is a kind of huge funding for any program, any policies, then that whole policy is more focused on the process rather on the outcome. That how the funds are utilized, what are the different steps. So focus is shifting. Focus, see, the thing is, ultimate focus is welfare of the public. So focus is shifts from the welfare of the public to the process. So now it forgets the outcome, it is more focused on the process, and thus puts community at a back seat. Now here all of you can give a beautiful example at the limited success of World Bank sponsored sanitation program in India and the success of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Why Swachh Bharat Abhiyan? Though it has not become too successful, but though still it is, far more successful than the sanitation programs of the World Bank, sponsored by the World Banks. Why? Because people have started participating. So as soon as community starts showing interest in any process, it will be a success. Now, as I explained earlier, top-down mechanism focuses on one size fit all approach. So now whenever there is a top-down approach, so top-down, all of you, it is always, intended at one size fit all. Definitely the policies, okay, which will be helpful or beneficial in the remote areas of UP will be not to that extent in the remote villages of Tamil Nadu or Kerala. So different states, different regions, different kind of communities, their problems are different. So the approach must be different. Approach must be community specific, region specific. You cannot have one universal policy for the all. So this is the problem with the donor agencies. Policies are framed at the top level and then they are executed. Because they think that fund is the only, criteria for execution of any policy. Then it puts donor agencies priority as compared to the communities at the top. So as I said earlier, now welfare of the people, it no longer remains the priority. Now priority becomes the donor agencies, that what all processes, what are the mechanisms donor agencies wants to follow, that becomes the priority. And erosion of accountability and belongingness. So when we talk about erosion of accountability and belongingness, we have another great example here, that Sardar Sarovar Dam in Gujarat suffered due to protest from the communities. However, the launch of Narmada bond brought in the community participation, because what happened here, people they invested in the Narmada bond, 100 rupees, 500, 1000 rupees. Okay, as soon as they invested in it, okay, they become too active and they stopped protesting, because they thought that yes, once they have invested, so the community has invested, then the completion of the project will only give them the benefit. So this is the example of how the participation by the community, by the people, through one way or the other, it just removes the blockages and ensures a smooth flow. Poor discussion, reduce interest and suggestion. Now here the beneficiaries or the end user or the public at large, if they are not consulted, so if they are not consulted, definitely they will not show any interest. They will feel kind of alien to the any kind of policies or program. So once they feel alien, they will not participate, and definitely the whole concept of welfare will only take a back seat. What are the other effects? Communities get reduced to passive recipient. So now communities are just only receiving it. So if they are just receiving it, then definitely their interest, passive recipient, not the active recipient, then definitely their interest will lessen with time. Failure of communities to convey their needs, demand and vision in the donor sponsored processes. Here, for example, the failure of tribal development projects, as they were perceived as a threat to cultural autonomy, resulted in the protest. Now again, if there is any kind of scheme sponsored for the benefit of the tribal people, and if they are not consulted, and then any decision is taken which kind of acts against their cultural autonomy, then definitely they will protest. So it will backfire. So consultation by the community is intended. Whose benefit you want to do, definitely ask what benefits they require, what are their needs. You feed one who is hungry, you won't feed who is already fed. Okay, one whose stomach is full, if you start forcefully feeding him, then definitely he will protest. Then donor centric administration rather than citizen centric administration. So the whole process, it becomes now donor centric rather than citizen centric. No focus on the cultural and traditional practices of the community. Again, for example, the schools running in tribal areas using English as a medium of learning leads to alienation. So here in the tribal areas, the schools they start using English as a medium. Again, the tribal people they start feeling alienated, because one must preserve the culture and promote cultural growth along with regional languages, and also the education also must promote it. If these sponsored programs, they won't promote it, instead of it they kind of seem to be a danger, a threat, definitely people will be disinterested, the community will be disinterested, they won't participate, in fact they will protest. Now, what are the challenges stemming from this issue? What is happening? Rising discontent in the community, which manifests itself through the protests. So people they protest against many sponsored schemes. Why? because there is a kind of discontent, lack of trust deficit. Second, near extinction of cultural and traditional practices due to forced introduction of new and alien practices. As I took the example of your English as a medium of education, medium of instruction, using in the tribal areas or in fact in many rural areas directly. It leads to exodus of migrants as communities see them as a threat to their society and culture. So there is a famous saying, गेहूं के साथ घुन भी पिसता है. So the good people also they suffer because of it, because now the tribal people they see everyone as a kind of threat. And then other governance challenges like corruption, delays, poor transparency, misutilization of funds, because as soon as there will be multi hierarchy, there will be no transparency, no proper accountability, then definitely it will lead to corruption and misutilization of funds. And therefore government has become tight with respect to FCRA. FCRA Amendment Act by 2020, it has kind of acted as a check on the foreign funding, because many of the foreign funds, okay, they are acting against the growth and development of the country. They are hampering the growth of the GDP of the country by 2 to 3%. This is also one of the reasons for the trust deficit. Underdevelopment of the already marginalized sections, rehabilitation and refugees crisis. So here all of you, what happens on when the policies or the programs they are donor centric, then they always focus on few areas where they can get the limelight, where they can be in news, where they can be in limelight. And the regions which actually require extra efforts, funding, they remain isolated. So therefore these schemes, donor kind of agencies sponsored schemes, they are not serving the purpose for which it is intended to. And then all of you, you can end your answer, conclude your answer fact by stating that community is the keystone for sustainable and inclusive development in a country. The same is enshrined in the government's agenda of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. And now one more phrase is added here, that is Sabka Prayas. See, Sabka Prayas in fact is talking about your community participation, participation of people, the efforts by all. So here along with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, new phrase added, that is Sabka Prayas. So a policy framework that puts community on the top of the policy planning is the touchstone for donor agencies. So with this you can conclude your answer. So this was a nice question, or we can say rather pyara question, okay, because here you have to look at the other dimension. See, before we switch to next question, development industry, the critical analysis of development industry, this was again a part of our mains advanced course. Now next question number 18, that is the last question of governance which I am going to take today. So now this question you have to answer in 250 words. that is 15 marks question. So now all of you here in this case, again, first of all, you start with right to education, that is in intro. In intro you talk about right to education as a fundamental right was provided by the 86th constitutional amendment 2002 in part 3rd of the constitution. It inserted article 21A which made right to education a fundamental right for children between 6 and 14 years. So the basis of RTE Act 2009 was what? A right to education provided as a fundamental right by Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002. So then now how RTE Act has remained inadequate or insufficient? Still we find that the number of students, though under RTE Act, the number of enrollments, okay, has increased. The number of students who are enrolling has increased significantly, but we find higher dropout rates as well. Now only the enrollment does not ensure the education. So education is only ensured when the students they attend the classes seriously. They at least study till class 10th or 12th, so that they have the basic education, basic understanding, basic awareness. So though RTE Act has led to increase in the enrollment, but still we find out high number of dropouts. And under this RTE Act 2009, we see that the form of education or the mode of education remain same as it was earlier. Now the thing is, if students they don't find it interesting, definitely they stop attending the classes, because still the focus is on learning rather than developing the aptitude of the children. So instead of focusing on developing the aptitude and skills, the focus is on the rote learning, which kind of increases disinterest among the students. It is not skill based. So skill based, so students they don't find any benefit of attending the classes, that there is no upgradation of any kind of skill. And here the focus that it is more kind of result oriented rather than focusing on the growth of the children. It is more focused on the result and the number. And what is the kind of byproduct of it, that the student as well as teachers both are at the receiving end. So teacher as well as the student, two most important, two of the main stakeholders here, if they do not show interest, then definitely RTE Act will be inadequate, insufficient, won't serve the purpose. So here you can talk about persisting learning poverty, the same methods, poor skill development, high dropout rates, does not provide outcome oriented learning which address the real life challenges. Then put teachers and students at the receiving end of the process and focus on the stakeholder based learning, rote learning and poor focus on the cognitive growth, fails to channelize the comprehensive development of the students. So this act basically it helped in increasing the quantity enrollment, but it did not lead to increase in quality, and quality along with quantity is important. Now what is the need for promoting incentive based system and generating awareness about the importance of schooling? See, generate awareness is very important, it's vital for the success of any program, any policy, any scheme, any concept, any thought, any idea. Now here, to improve the enrollment and reduce the absenteeism. Definitely the enrollment is increasing, so you have to increase it further, as well as you have to make sure that students, yes, they are attending the classes. It is a kind of minimum 75% attendance criteria. Then more than 80% of the students must fulfill the criteria. This is the minimum. So 75% minimum attendance must be satisfied by more than 80% of the students. Then eliminate the opportunity cost linked with schooling. Now this is important. Why? See, the thing is, many parents, okay, they feel that after education, whatever their children they will be earning, that much they can earn now itself through child labor, and definitely with time their labor will increase because their expertise in their particular field labor will increase. It will lead to increase in the income. See, when we talk about the midday meal schemes and all, see, the thing is, try to understand here, those who are attending the school, they are provided food. So yes, they will be attending the school, the classes properly. Yes, they have kind of enough nutrition, they love it. But many are not interested in going to school. If you are providing free dress, then those who have no interest in attending the school, what they will do with the dress? Think that they will be earning enough amount by working throughout the day, and then they can have better meal than the meals provided in the midday. They can wear any different dress, not the school dress. So just providing the meal, providing the dress does not kind of act as a sufficient incentive. Okay. Yes, it is necessary but not sufficient. We talk about necessary condition, sufficient condition. Yes, it is necessary but not sufficient. So comparison of schooling with the income from child labor. Now here it is very important to kind of educate people about the difference between a right to life and right to dignified life. A right to life with dignity, respect, honor. That is the difference. Until or unless that awareness is created among people, that it's not only about living, it's not only about survival, it's not only about making money, it's about living life with full freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of work, and that can be possible only through the education. That can be possible only through the education. So such kind of awareness needs to be developed. And then to improve the learning outcome and enable the education sustainable way to higher income generation. See, now second point here, first of all you have to create awareness. Then second point is that the education must be such that any child, if he attends the school, feels the importance of it, that yes, by learning such skills or by learning such things, it will help him in increasing his income. And the same is applied to the parents also. Parents also start feeling that if their children will learn these things, definitely they can earn more. So the education here is important, the learning outcome such that it leads to sustainable way to higher income generation. Second point here, transform schooling from education to learning and character building to address the social deviance that has been emerging from poor social and moral education. In the question of inflation and unemployment, we talked about how unemployment kind of leads to increase in crime rate. Now similarly here, that education along with proper social and moral values, okay, will help in inculcating the basic, the core values which are essential for a peaceful society. Because those who are not being educated, those who are not getting education, forget basic education, definitely they are not in the moral and the social values. They do not understand the problems which they will be facing if they go on the wrong path, if they take the path of crime. So along with education, the social and moral values will help in building up the society. Because we see nowadays, because this thing has become prominent nowadays, the increase in crime rate, especially among juveniles. We find that the crime rate among juveniles increased significantly. So one of the reasons behind that is lack of education and lack of moral and social values. To focus on the skill development and reinvigoration of existing schemes like National Skill Mission, Strive, Sankalp, etc. So all these missions, all these schemes must be implemented properly, okay, and they must be widened further to include more and more number of students, more and more number of children. Next, acknowledge the power of education in enabling inclusive growth and development. Now here there is a very famous study by Esther Duflo and Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel Prize winner, that they found that higher education standards of women leads to lower fertility rate, better child and maternal indicators. So here all of you please remember that any development, any process must be holistic in nature. That along with providing incentives and all, the women, they must be educated. More the women are educated, more the women are empowered, more interested they will be in sending their children to schools, more healthy will be their children. So the thing is, you have to empower women, because when women are empowered, definitely it will result in better schooling of their children. So here these things, they run parallel. These things, they run parallel. Bring attitudinal change against caste-based discrimination. Again, any form of discrimination must be dealt seriously. There is no space for any form of discrimination in our society. Each and everyone is equal, and each and everyone's life is of equal value, equally beautiful. Now, schooling as the stepping stone of social mobility. How schooling acts as a stepping stone of social mobility? Here, the perfect example is the life story of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. It is the testimony that quality schooling can fight any persisting discrimination among society. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is one of the role model. So, the people must be kind of educated and aware about that how education and sincere education can lead to one becoming a legend. And definitely poverty elimination and all. And finally, we conclude our answer, okay, by talking about the new education policy. So, new education policy has brought in structural changes, okay. So, structural changes which aims to plug loopholes in the RTE Act. So, all of you, now here we have the new education policy, okay. It is there to address the loopholes already part of your RTE Act, but however a policy framework which focuses on innovative and engaging school curriculum like the happiness curriculum of Delhi government. So, the happiness curriculum of Delhi government, now the children, the more they will be happy, the happier they will be, the more enjoyment they will feel in the school. Definitely it will lead to their increase in attendance, curriculum, and focus on teacher training to make them mentors and guides. See, remember, you must not focus only on the students, you must focus on the teachers also, because these are the two main stakeholders. So, along with students, here teachers must be also incentivized in such a way that they participate actively, because the outcome, the output always depends on the interest of the teacher, because more the sincere the teacher will be, more regular he will be, more he will be focused on each child will feel important, and definitely it will lead to better results, better output. Here, with this you can end your answer. Is crucial to realize the sustainable development goal 4 of quality education. So, this is kind of enough for a 250 words answer. So, again this question, it was part of our MAC PDF which we shared with the students. Here we talk about right to education provisions, judicial pronouncement also, which make this your integral part, then achievement issues related to right to education, then the conclusion here. And with respect to right of person with disabilities act, you can find it again in the PDF shared, way forward, steps taken, then conclusion. Now see, the thing is, what here UPSC, each and every paper they are connected now. It's not that they are isolated in nature. So here sometimes the things which you study in GS-3, you find it in GS-2. You study in GS-2, you find it in GS-3, GS-4 also. So similarly, this question, what are the different elements of cyber security, keeping the challenges in cyber security, examine the extent to which India has successfully developed a comprehensive national cyber security strategy. So with respect to this, again this was part of our MAC mains advanced course, where we talked about the cyber security, reasons for increasing cyber security, issues with cyber security, government steps to ensure cyber security, and way forward. Then in GS paper 4, what do you understand by the term good governance? How far recent initiatives in terms of e-governance steps taken by the states have helped the beneficiaries? Discussed with suitable examples. See, good governance, e-governance, definitely this is your part of your governance as well, GS paper 2. So we study this in detail, the different aspects of governance. What is your good governance, significance of good governance, ethical governance, challenges to good governance, and then e-governance, digital dividend, significance of e-governance, challenges of e-governance, way forward. So those students who would have really gone through this MAC PDF, to this MAC PDF only, one could have answered 7-8 questions easily. Then again in GS paper 4, whistleblower who reports corruption and illegal activities, wrongdoings and misconduct to the concerned authorities runs the risk of being exposed to the grave danger, physical harm and victimization by the vested interests, accused persons and his team. What policy measures would you suggest to strengthen protection mechanism to safeguard the whistleblower? So here again, Whistleblower Protection Act, preventive vigilance measures, witness protection scheme, limitations, witness protection scheme 2018, significance, limitations of witness protection scheme. So this was all the part of your MAC PDF and discussed. So I hope this discussion will help you all in developing the overall understanding of answering the questions, and those of you who appeared this year, all the best for your results, and those of you who are preparing for next year, just please start working harder. You don't have much time left. So all the very best, keep smiling and chak de fatte. So thank you all.